puffing on that remedy specifically for Dre, ditch day, chilling with the OGs. Block was lit, early 90s, drive-bys. Every other night, catch a body, dope boys never fight. That's a fall, watch out for the ricochet. Moms tried to get me in, but I...
What's up, internet? This is going to be a quick little video, little overview on what to look for when buying a used motorcycle, you know, off of somebody. Well, the things that I look for, in my opinion, some of the top things that, you know, you're obviously going to want to look over, you know, just for overall safety factors and to make sure that you got yourself a good purchase. Now, a few of the things you're probably not going to want to do yourself, obviously, unless you have experience with doing valves and stuff like that, which they're really not too hard, but you know, that's a step you can go ahead and take to your local mechanic. But you know, we're gonna hop right into it. First thing that I always check, and that I actually replaced on this bike, is I went ahead and did all brake pads all around for the handbrake setup, the regular foot brake. Every pad was replaced, and the foot brake were actually really bad. They're completely toast, wore down, you know, all the way. Another thing you're gonna want to do is just check, you know, for oil. Make sure that the great thing about these little clear glasses, you can tell how well maintained the oil is. You know, with this one, it was super fresh. The bike was barely, you know, ridden, so as you can see, it's that Matul green. It's still fresh. This is my fourth time actually riding the bike. Third time was literally 2 minutes and brake line exploded. Something, you know, looked fine, but you know, when bikes actually sit out in the weather, brakes are gonna go bad, rotors are gonna go bad, brake lines have the tendency to go bad, still braided or not, after a while. What happened with mine is it actually popped out right here, so luckily local shop had a replacement. Not the exact color it was, but you know, it'll do. And another thing you're gonna want to check is spark plugs. And before I stray away from that and get to the plugs, obviously one thing too, from sitting outside, rotors in the rain and heat, they tend to warp. So these front rotors right here are actually no good on this bike as well. You can hit the front brake, it works completely fine. I bled them so many times, there's no air in it. And you know, it just smooth braking, it'll never come to a stop. It'll never even skirt the tire. So yeah, brakes, you know, number one, for safety, you want to make sure your brakes are good. And number two, when you get to tires, obviously this isn't the best tire. This thing's already worn out. I've done a few burnouts on it. It has a fat patch because I actually got a nail here. It's got this nice little line from my plate. The spark plugs, very easy. Just, you know, check if they're leaned out, fouled out. You usually can go online. There's little guides and, you know, colors you can tell what situation your spark plugs are in. You can literally just Google that and, you know, take each one out and check it, which these plugs were actually in great condition. Valve clearance and everything was awesome on this bike too, which is kind of weird. Is I noticed this little thing right here, there's actually a lot of engine number coding in there, like if the motor was actually rebuilt. I'm not sure if that was the case, but I mean, I haven't cleaned this motor and it's sat outside for almost a year with the previous owner, and you know, so I like to go over those things. They're pretty much really basic, you know, really cheap to replace. I think I paid 55, 60 bucks for all the brake pads entirely. The new brake line was like 40 bucks, 35 or something like that, you know, with tax. And haven't done the oil. Like I said, the oil looked really good on here. Just added a little bit of that Lucas stabilizer. I mean, I recommend it for any race car. A lot of people do. If you look at anybody who stunts motorcycles too, everybody's running that some kind of oil stabilizer, whether or not it's mostly Lucas. I mean, it's up to you, but you know, definitely, like I said, you want to check after these things. And most importantly, after all of that is said and done, loose bolts. There were, plenty of loose bolts on this bike, things that just, you know, like I said, the previous owner bought it, didn't ride it, so everything was loose. This whole sub cage setup back here, you could literally move this and watch the whole frame move. The clean airbox mod wasn't done correctly on it, but it took care of that, and that's pretty much it, you know. And listen for a knock. I mean, obviously you could tell when something's wrong with the motor when just starting it up. You want to make sure, you know, it cranks over just, you know, perfectly fine. There's no, give me a second, you know, you want to make sure it just, you know, if it's cold, obviously it might take a few more turns, but you want to just listen to the overall startup. You'll be able to hear like valves. You'll hear if there's a knock or anything when it's cold very easily. So you want to listen for those things, especially when you know, purchasing a new bike, especially if you're getting a bike from, you know, Craigslist, OfferUp, or any of that. You want to take a checklist with you, I would think. If you're not familiar with purchasing used products, you know, just so you know things not to look over, so you won't forget when you know, you take your new bike out on the road, and you know, just so you're safe. You don't want to have any accidents and ride off on a bike that, you know, has no brakes, or something weird with the throttle where it gets stuck. You know, you want to just check these minor things, you know, before you take off and hit the road. So just wanted to make this little short video for you guys on that kind of stuff, on what I check when I'm purchasing something, and what I've actually, like I said, already went over and replaced on this bike. Like I said, you don't have to do the valves. You can take that to your local mechanic if that seems like a little much for you. But brakes, they're really simple. I mean, there's YouTube videos for almost every single bike out there, like even strange foreign cheap China bikes. So should be able to find your bike, you know, perfectly fine out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up for you guys today, and you know, see you guys on the next one. And hopefully this helps you guys out, you know, when purchasing your next bike, you know, just so that you're safe and you don't get screwed over. All right, guys, see ya.